and welcome to this special Republic Day webinar. As we celebrate the spirit of India's growth and independence, we look back on a journey of transformation in the country's financial ecosystem. Over the past 25 years, TransUnion CIBIL has been at the heart of this transformation, building trust, enabling credit growth, fostering financial inclusion, and driving the ease of doing business. Let's dive into the story of how it all began, its impact on our economy, and the role that TransUnion CIBIL continues to play in empowering millions of individuals and businesses. Joining me is the MD and CEO of TransUnion CIBIL, Mr. Bhavesh Jain, to walk us through this incredible journey. So Bhavesh, let's start off from the beginning. Where did it all begin, the genesis of TransUnion CIBIL, and what was the vision that the company had in mind?
Thank you for having me on this show. And it started more than 25 years back. Actually, the genesis of this was laid down post the economic liberalization and the privatization of banks, where lenders were looking to assess the consumers to give them credit facilities, and they found it challenging to assess a borrower objectively. It used to take a lot of time. It is to require a lot of data and documentation to be provided. That was the background why a credit bureau was required, and happy to share that as we enter into our 25th year, 2000 was the foundation year for TransUnion CIBIL, and we have been working for last 25 years with all the credit institutions, with the consumers, to make sure that we solve for information asymmetry. Through TransUnion CIBIL, we have ensured that the lenders get information about the consumers' repayment history, about their score, which helps them assess the consumer's creditworthiness objectively and ensure that the loans or the credit facilities are provided objectively in the shortest possible time.
25 years, and that's an incredible beginning, really. But in the last quarter of a century, so much has happened in India. Walk us through how TransUnion CIBIL has contributed to the Indian economy. You mentioned how, you fostered credit growth, financial inclusion. Tell us a bit about that.
Great question, because that's the spirit with which we live as an organization. For the last 25 years, we have been working firstly with the credit institutions, consumers, government bodies to make sure we work on a few areas. First one being around credit growth. And why credit growth is critical? Because credit growth and economic growth are interlinked. That any emerging economy which has a good credit growth, it automatically sort of ensures that there's a good economic growth as well for that country. So credit growth has been enabled for last 25 years because there is objectivity to the decision making by the credit institutions. There's a benefit for the credit institution because they are not taking subjective calls at the branches. They are able to take a very informed decision, and through information asymmetry, which we resolved over the last 25 years, credit institutions are able to make sure that they give loans and credit facilities on near real-time basis. Now, with the penetration of credit going into deeper geographies, which is the Bharat, if I may say, we have enabled credit growth uniformly across India, and it's no more concentrated to the metros or the urban locations. So that's the first area we have worked with. Second is in terms of financial inclusion. So we work with a lot of government bodies, we work with banks, we work with semi-regulated bodies to make sure that we are able to go to the last mile. We educate the consumer about moving to the formal credit sector, educate about the importance of a good credit history, so that you are able to bring a large section of the society into the formal credit section, as well as at the same time make sure that they appreciate the importance of good credit history, which enables them to get access to credit in the future years as well, either for their individual needs or for their business requirements. And why this is important, if you look at the last 25 years journey of CIBIL, or we look at the journey of India post economic liberalization, a common person required either a home, they wanted to go for better education, you wanted to buy a car for your family, you wanted to commute to work or a factory, buy a two-wheeler. So for all these needs, you needed credit so that you can get access to your dream home or to the sort of degree you wanted. So for the consumer or the citizen of this country, they got their dream home or their dream car basis credit, and that credit decision was enabled by TransUnion CIBIL. And the third area is that how do we create ease of doing business, because today the MSMEs contribute almost 30% of India's GDP, and at the same time MSME create a good quantum of employment for the semi-skilled or the unskilled laborers. Now, that's very important for a growing economy like ours, and similar to the consumer credit report and the score for individuals, we have the commercial credit report and we have the CIBIL MSME rank, which ranges from 1 to 10, 1 being the best. Now this ensures that an MSME or a small merchant who's seeking credit to grow their business or get their stock or any of their business needs, they approach the formal credit sector, they get evaluated objectively, and basis their credit performance or their credit behavior over the last few years, they get the best terms and conditions from different banks or NBFCs. So these have been our 3 big focus areas over the last 25 years.
It's so wonderful to see you being a part of so many Indians' lives, right? Right from small businessmen to individual Indians who are perhaps looking to buy their first car or getting that education. And you know, Republic Day is all about celebrating those institutions that have made India's economy stronger. I'd like to understand TransUnion CIBIL's CMR report, because India's economy is driven largely by a lot of the MSMEs that are out there. Could you tell us a bit more about CMR and how MSMEs as well can look at their credit report?
Brilliant. So we have almost 3.5 crore MSMEs data reported to CIBIL by different credit institutions, and these MSMEs can come on CIBIL.com, access their commercial credit report along with the CIBIL MSME rank. Now, CIBIL MSME rank is a rank which ranges from 1 to 10, 1 being the best, and the commercial credit information report captures the credit repayment behavior of the MSME, captures the firmographic information, captures the information about the proprietor or the partner behind that MSME, captures information about the utilization of the various credit facilities availed by different banks or NBFCs. So it gives a very good overview of the financials of that MSME linked to the credit exposure with these institutions. One. Second aspect is around that we really encourage all these MSMEs to come and regularly check their commercial credit information report and their CIBIL MSME rank. And the reason is that if they have a good repayment history and if they have a good CMR, there are a lot of financial benefits to these MSMEs from different credit institutions, that if you have a good credit information report, a good repayment track and a good CMR, you'll avail a lot of financial benefits in form of a lower rate of interest, a green channel approach when your turnaround time, because all the information available is there at the convenience of the credit manager. They can take the right decisions and give a go ahead to that MSME's credit requirements. So I would highly encourage MSMEs to continue checking their commercial credit information report and their CMR on a regular basis, because that's a reflection of their credit profile and their credit behavior.
I want to bring the attention back to individuals. For somebody like me, a CIBIL report is almost indispensable. How did it come to be like that? And if you could share some interesting features of a CIBIL report and a CIBIL score?
So, CIBIL report is a simple representation of the different loans, credit cards taken by an individual from banks or NBFCs again, one. Along with the credit repayment history, you have other information about the address, contact information. Third thing is that the credit application information about the consumer. So these are the three large blocks in the individual's credit information report. And the CIBIL score is a 3-digit number ranging from 300 to 900. Higher the score, better is the risk profile of that customer. Now today, the CIBIL score actually has become synonymous with credit score in India. Like if you ask anybody credit score, they'll not be able to understand. But if you tell them CIBIL score, they'll immediately, oh, we know CIBIL score, my CIBIL score. So over the last 25 years, the CIBIL score has become a powerful tool in the hands of the consumer, and some of them like to sort of flaunt it, if I may say, because it's a reflection of their credit behavior. And let me share a small story. What's been the sort of impact on the mind of the consumers of the CIBIL score, and why do they sort of think so positive and are they excited about their own CIBIL score? A few years back, I was actually traveling from Chandigarh to Amritsar with my family, and there was a young individual who was driving the Ertiga, and my family was sleeping behind. I was in the front seat and I was getting calls from the office, and a few times I mentioned CIBIL, and he asked me, "Sir, do you work with CIBIL?" And I said, "I work with CIBIL," and I didn't reveal anything else. He said, "Sir, I want to share a small story related to CIBIL." I said, "Please go ahead." He says that demonetization happened and I took a credit card because I had to pay for all my petrol bills through that credit card. I said, "Great." He said, and I realized saying that while I'm paying my bills, I'm accumulating reward points. I said, "Awesome." Then he said, "I got benefits through the usage of credit card." Then I realized saying that since I'm paying on a regular basis, I looked at my CIBIL report and CIBIL score, and it was in line with what is expected to be. And I said, "Great, you have a lot of credit discipline." And he said, "I've been driving this Ertiga for last few years, and I wanted to buy a home for my parents on the outskirts of Mohali." I said, "Awesome. Did you manage it?" He said, yes. I bought a small home for myself and my parents on the outskirts of Mohali." I said, "Congratulations." He said, "No, the story starts here." I said, "Please go ahead." He mentioned that I went to one of the public sector banks, and first thing they asked me is that, "What's your CIBIL score?" And I said, "My CIBIL score is 780. And they looked at my other financial documents, my income, everything. They evaluated the home, and I got the home loan. I said, "That's great." But he said, "First time somebody didn't look down upon me for my profession as a driver, but I was given access to credit because I had a good CIBIL score." And then it struck me while I was going to Golden Temple is that you have CIBIL score which have actually ensured that there are no social barriers. A citizen of this country is getting access to credit based upon their credit history and their credit behavior. This is so progressive and this is so empowering for the consumers.
I'm sure that as a professional working with CIBIL, there must have been nothing more rewarding than listening to that anecdote from somebody who's completely objective and does not know that in what capacity you're working at with CIBIL. So we clearly, from your story as well, it's obvious what the importance of this CIBIL score and report is for the borrowers. Let's talk about its importance for the people who are lending as well, the financial institutions who are relying on this report.
So today, through our various data-driven insights, tools, analytical solutions, we provide objectivity and informed decisions for this credit institution. Because considering the size and the scale of the country and the population, each of these banks and NBFCs will get huge amount of credit applications on a daily and a monthly basis. Now, how do you service the credit needs of this huge country? Is through bringing in data, analytics and technology. And that's where we come into picture, that through our data-driven insights, through our analytical solutions across the consumer life cycle, whether it's time of the application, whether it's time of the underwriting, whether it's times of managing that customer's account, at different stages of the consumer life cycle, we work very closely with credit institutions, and the credit institutions are taking those decisions basis data. So our endeavor has been to work with credit institution to solve for information asymmetry. Because the moment you solve for information asymmetry, you are taking informed credit decisions, you are sort of making sure that the consumer is getting their credit needs fulfilled in the shortest possible time and linked to their credit behavior in the past.
Now, there may be individuals and businesses out there whose CIBIL score might be lower or CMR score might be lower. Is there scope for improving it, and how do you recommend these people improve their score?
So it's same way like if any of your health parameters change, you need to work, you need to take an effort on it. So first I would say is that make sure that you start paying those loans or the credit card bills on timely basis, one. Second is restrict your credit offtake. Don't apply on a regular basis to different institutions. Third is that make sure that you pay within the timelines and you don't overutilize or you don't max out the utilization on your credit cards. So if an individual or a consumer takes care of these four aspects over a period of time, they should be able to improve their score. And I would encourage consumers to come on CIBIL.com, download the CIBIL app and make sure that they get their one annual free credit report. If required, they can access the score simulator. They can actually, through a gamified version, get a real-time simulation that if I make this payment or if I don't take these loans, how much will my score improve upon? So it's an instant gratification for the consumer and becomes a big motivator for them to come back into a credit discipline mode.
I think quantifying your financial discipline is a good motivator as well for individuals to, go ahead and do something to improve that number. So it's always easier to look at a number and then look at how you can improve that number, which is wonderful about the CIBIL score.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about MSMEs. Like we mentioned, they're the backbone of the Indian economy. But one of the common challenges we hear is that they often lack access to formal credit systems. How is TransUnion CIBIL's CMR score and CMR report changing that?
So I would say in a big way, because you have MSMEs who are largely in the informal sector or the informal credit sector. And let me give some statistics around this. That there are upwards of around 7 crore MSMEs in the country, out of which we have 3.4 crore MSMEs who have ever availed credit and reported to CIBIL. And out of which we have around 90 lakh MSMEs who are credit active. So there's an opportunity to bring those MSMEs into the formal credit sector. And we are working with credit institutions, and it's been our endeavor for now 25 years through the commercial credit information report and through a CMR, enable the borrower to go and fulfill their credit demands. And how do we do that? One is that the credit institutions access this report on real-time basis from CIBIL. This commercial credit information report has all the details about the repayment history, the firmographic information, the credit applications of an MSME, and the CMR, which we spoke about, 1 to 10, 1 being the best. This information is available by the credit institutions. They look at aspects around utilization, they look at aspects around debt by those MSME, and then they take the decisions about the type of loan to be given, the extent of the loan to be given. Now, when they do that, I would encourage these MSMEs to continue monitoring their credit report and their CMR. And at the same time, we work with a lot of government bodies. We work with banks, we work with NBFCs to create an awareness within MSMEs. So last few years, we have extensively gone to the Bharat locations to make sure that we create an awareness within the minds of these MSMEs to make sure that they appreciate that there is credit available from the formal banking sector, and once they get access to this credit through the commercial credit information report, the CMR, how do they continue to pay it on timely basis, operate within their means, and ensure that through this continuous focus on their repayment behavior, they get access to credit, and moment they get access to credit, they can deploy it for their business needs. So that's been our sort of focus area, to make sure that we work with credit institutions on one side, we work with MSMEs to educate them, because as you rightly said, they contribute to 30% of the GDP, and we want to make sure that we work with the credit institution to bring these MSMEs on a continuous basis into the formal sector.
Absolutely. I want to talk about the company credit report. What is the information that it contains, and how can borrowers use this?
The commercial credit information report has details around the credit repayment behavior, the type of credit facilities taken, the tenure of those credit exposures, the firmographic information, information about the related parties, which is the proprietor, partner, and lastly is the credit applications done by this MSME. And along with this credit information report, the MSME also gets the CIBIL MSME rank, which ranges from 1 to 10, 1 being the best. And why it's important for these MSMEs to access their own commercial credit information report along with the CMR, because there are multiple financial and banking benefits which these MSMEs get. So there are few of them. Let me list the critical ones. That if a MSME goes to a bank or an NBFC to apply for a loan, if they have a good CMR and a good commercial credit information report, their application will be processed faster, because the bank's policies will allow a green channel approach. Second is the rate of interest. So most of the banks have moved to a risk-based pricing. Let me simplify it for the consumers or the MSMEs, which means is that if you have a good CMR, you'll get the best rate of interest in the country. So with this type of opportunities, the consumer also get additional benefits like the tenure of the loan, the other smaller terms and conditions. So by having a good credit information report and a CMR, you're truly empowering the MSME to avail the benefits from these credit institutions.
Now, in India, while we are seeing good credit growth, I think penetration is still a bit lower. And that's where TransUnion CIBIL is really helping, the agenda or the objective of financial inclusion. Could you tell us how the company is essentially reaching the underserved communities, the small businesses, to avail access of formal credit?
Yes, there's a lot of work happening in this area. We have come a long way as a country. If I look at post-economic liberalization, credit penetration has significantly improved, but we still have a long way to go in terms of serving this underserved consumers, and we are working on multiple areas. The first is working with the credit institutions on creating an awareness about accessing credit to the formal sector. Second is ensuring that once you take a loan or a credit card, you repay on a regular basis and you ensure a good repayment behavior, you maintain a good CIBIL score, and you sort of take your report on a regular basis from CIBIL.com or the CIBIL mobile app. Actually, there's one annual free credit report available to all the citizens of this country. So we popularize, we socialize, and we encourage the consumers and the citizens to come and take their one annual free credit report from CIBIL.com. But at the same time, there are different awareness campaigns created along with a lot of institutions, whether it's large banks, NBFCs, semi-government bodies. In fact, last year we did a massive program along with Niti Aayog. The program was called Seher. For the women entrepreneurs in the country, we work with a lot of foundations, not-for-profit organization. Along with Niti Aayog, we created a program to educate the women entrepreneurs in the country, talking about accessing credit from the formal sector, maintaining a good repayment history, and how do you make sure that you ensure a good CIBIL score or a CMR based upon your individual requirements or your business requirements. So we have been constantly working, and I can assure you that over the next 25 years as well, our heart and our commitment would lie towards creating awareness and education within this country.
It's inspiring really to watch TransUnion CIBIL go out there laying the groundwork to ensure that India's credit landscape only grows. Of course, on the occasion of Republic Day, I'd like to hear a message from you to individuals and businesses on how they can better manage their credit profile.
So I would say be within your means. Monitor your credit report and your score on a regular basis along with your CMR if you are a business entity, and make sure that you continue to pay on time. You ensure that you take credit but you are responsible, because responsible credit sahi hai. We need credit growth in the country because credit growth will enable economic growth in this country, and if we have to achieve our dream by 2047 as a developed nation, then we need to make sure that we truly create financial inclusion, credit inclusion for the common person in this country, and make sure that the economic growth is widely spread across all the geographies, across all the social strata of this country. So I would say responsible credit sahi hai. Let's ensure that we become a credit fit country.
A powerful message to end on indeed, and I think this Republic Day we'd like to celebrate not just India's independence but the progress we are making towards financial empowerment, financial inclusion, and there's no doubting that TransUnion CIBIL has been an integral part of that progress and to essentially build trust between borrowers and lenders. Thank you, Bhavesh, for sharing this incredible story. And to our audience, let's continue building a financially strong and inclusive India together.
Thank you. And I would like to end by saying that CIBIL's 25 years of journey mirrors India's aspiration and the growth aspirations of the citizens of this country. It's an honor to serve the nation, and it's an honor to contribute towards India's growth.